Podcast City Network. And we are back here on Final Score for round 2 of this episode. Man, Chris Carnage really hit me with that stuff.
Hour number 2.
Eventually
we're going to be able to do it in segments, like hour segment blocks, like
we'd be the cool guys.
Actual radio show.
Yeah, like, hey, check out hour 1. If you miss hour 1, check out hour 2. God, we could be cool like that one day.
Eventually.
Maybe. But only if all these fans keep following us and pushing us with Final Score and all of our social media outlets. And, of course, on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Just give us a little like, give us a little comment. Yeah, don't forget Podcoin, because you can get paid to listen to Final Score now. So definitely a lot of craziness and awesomeness going on. But one thing that was also extremely crazy was the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, which finally came to their conclusion with a surprise winner, and none other than the St. Louis Blues, who get to win their first championship in their 52-year history. Started out as an expansion team in 1967 with 5 other teams. You're the only one still standing, and now they got a championship to boot.
Congratulations to them. That was a huge win. On the road, too, in Boston. Not only the fact they could have closed it out in Game 6 at home, they lose that game, come back to Game 7. The place was rocking, and it was a great game to watch. St. Louis, St. Louis, man, they played so well, and we were talking, especially after they got their butts kicked.
Literally.
In the first one of the first couple was Game 2. They got 7-2.
Yeah, they just got shellacked, and we honestly thought
everybody wrote them off.
Yeah, we automatically thought that there's no way this team's going to be able to do anything. They got shellacked 7-2. It was actually in Game 3. And we saw Boston win Game 1 4-2. You go into Game 2, St. Louis had to pull it out in overtime, and then we saw the 7-2. We thought, oh, this is over. Boston's up 2-1. They're going to run this. And then St. Louis does the unthinkable and just starts rattling off some wins. We get all the way to Game 7, and they literally just put a stamp on it and won this thing.
Their physical play was really the big key difference for the Blues in this series. Not only, of course, the hot goaltending, the red hot play
from a rookie,
Jordan Binnington. He not only won. We're talking about the most road wins by a rookie. Mm-hmm. He actually now has the most wins in a single playoff year by any rookie goalie, because he won all 16 games. The record was, I think, 15.
Yes.
That was held, and now he holds it all to himself. It's such a huge accomplishment for him.
It really is. And for a rookie.
Not only a rookie, he started the year as the 4th goaltender on the team.
Yeah.
Was traded multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually in the Bruins minor league system up until, I want to say it was like January.
Way to go, Bruins.
Before that. So he was brought in right after the interim head coach took over.
Right.
Which was Craig Berube.
Mm-hmm.
When he took over, they brought in Binnington because they didn't have any solid goalie play. Nobody could sustain anything in between the pipes. But they were dead last in the NHL on January 3rd. They had 34 points. They were 15, 18, and 4. And they were 11 points behind Anaheim in the wild card. Dead last.
And here we are.
Not even the end of that month, they were kind of treading water. They get right around 500. They were one game under 500. January 23rd, they went on an 11-game win streak. Franchise record, 11-game win streak. They went from one game under 500, 10 games over 500, and they were in a playoff spot.
It's crazy how quickly things can turn around.
Especially in this kind of game where the way that these playoffs are set up, the margin between the top team and the bottom playoff team, as far as points were concerned, razor thin.
Mm-hmm. But we all knew who I picked to win this all and was the dominant team throughout the season, and ended up meaning nothing. And just goes to show this is why the games are played.
Exactly. Why the games are played.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's one of the biggest, I think it's one of the most impressive turnarounds in NHL history.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that they did this, the way they did it, they basically started the year 7-9-3,
mm-hmm.
fired their coach, brought in Craig Berube, and they kind of just treaded water a little bit, and then they just got hot.
Mm-hmm.
And they continued to stay hot. And they had some tough series in
Very
the playoffs. But yeah, congratulations. Hats off to them. They played so well, and they dominated Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that first period. I thought Boston played so well up until about the roughly 2 minutes
the last
left
couple minutes
of the first period. They let a deflection go in.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was kind of embarrassing.
That was kind of embarrassing. So now they're down 1-0. You're like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah, we can let that slide.
1-0. St. Louis is feeling good. They're up 1-0 going into the break. And with 18 seconds left, they get a chance. One of the forwards, I can't remember who it was. Who was the forward? Marchand. Marchand got beat. So he goes, oh, okay, it's just him. I got help behind me. Hey, let's do a line change, or let me change. Oh, man, was that a bad idea? Worst idea he could have made. And they score so quick.
Yeah, with no time left in that first period.
20 seconds left in the period. You're thinking, okay, we can go down 1-0. We're still in this thing. Quick goal at the end of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, crap. Now we're down 2-0. Even though Boston outplayed St. Louis, Jordan Binnington kept them in this game and kept them in this series. He was amazing. He was nothing short of amazing in this whole series with those franchise records that we talked about. But the MVP of this game, when it was all said and done, they almost had a shutout.
Almost.
They ended up winning 4-1. Boston finally scored with 2 minutes left in the game, spoiling the shutout. How fitting would that have been for the Blues?
It would have been great.
Ryan O'Reilly wins the Conn Smythe Trophy for the most valuable player in the playoffs, and he broke a franchise record for most points scored in a postseason with 23. And with his goal in Game 7, became the first player since Wayne Gretzky in 1985 to score in 4 straight Stanley Cup playoff games.
Yeah, he played out of his mind, played great, had 9 points on this final series, and just played amazing, just totally amazing. Had 5 goals throughout these 7 games, and 4 assists. He really was the cornerstone of this team to be able to make this drive all the way to the Stanley Cup. Hats off to you guys and the St. Louis Blues. And I know the city of St. Louis has been hurting for a little bit ever since the Rams left and the Cardinals have kind of fallen on harder times. St. Louis hasn't had a lot to look up to, so
their parade was nuts.
Yeah, I heard it was insane. Rain and all, apparently, but still did
their
not
parade
dissuade.
Was insane. Brett Hull made a speech or whatever. He had beer in one hand and he sounded like a drunk uncle on the mic. It was hilarious. But congratulations to the Blues. Improbable run from where they were early at the beginning of this calendar year. But, congratulations, and we'll see if they can do it again. Highly unlikely, but it's possible. They have a very young core. A lot of their big core players are in their mid-20s, mid to late 20s, so they got plenty of time to continue to build on this franchise. And hockey, I think one of the greatest playoff races in sports is now over. We got to wait until October to see more hockey.
Definitely. But I have to ask, though, was the parade anywhere on the level of like when the Eagles won the Super Bowl and you end up with Jason Kelce's completely epic speech that he had?
No, probably not. I don't think so.
I would say that was pretty epic.
That was a pretty good
Jason
speech.
Kelce, I think, had the speeches of speeches when it comes to victory parades.
I have to agree with you there. I think they had a really good turnout, and it was amazing.
City of Philadelphia in a first Super Bowl. I don't think you can beat that at this point.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, when they tear down their own city when they win said Super Bowl, I mean,
that's how devoted we are.
That's the destructive nature of Philadelphia.
I'm surprised there's still a Temple University in downtown Philly right now.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I'm surprised too.
Oh my goodness! But hats off again to our Stanley Cup champions, the St. Louis Blues. You guys definitely fought through and made it happen, and congratulations to you. Enjoy it, because now you got to start defending come October. So definitely going to be crazy. But switching gears over to Major League Baseball. And things definitely been a little interesting, especially seeing how we might have to skip the first snippet, go right to the craziness known as the David Ortiz shooting incident. This whole story ended up starting out as David Ortiz gets randomly shot in a burglary attempt at an amusement center, quote unquote. Ended up becoming this very convoluted and crazy story that now has so many twists and turns, and it's still developing at this point, even though we're almost a week removed almost now.
Almost.
But if you haven't caught up, basically from a lot of the news reports that have come out, basically it was a hit that was put out on David Ortiz for $7,800.
I was gonna say it was under $10,000.
Yeah, that guy got the shaft. I don't know what he was thinking, but anyways, $7,800 shoots David Ortiz at what ended up being a nightclub. Amusement center, ended up being at a nightclub, gets shot point blank in the back, ends up coming out of his stomach. He ends up going into surgery, ends up having part of his intestine removed, part of his colon removed, ended up being sewn back up and was okay, and then ended up being brought to Boston by the Red Sox to make sure that he had the top of the line medical care.
Absolutely, as they should.
Absolutely, that is a cornerstone of that franchise. So makes all, we look at all this, craziness is happening in the Dominican Republic. Then we start getting the news of why this hit was laid out. Would you like to share that one with the fans?
Well, I don't know too much about the why, but we've come to find that within this last week, there's also been, I think I said 5 other Americans that have either come up missing or have been murdered.
Yeah, since this happened.
Since this whole incident has happened. Which is, it's really insane to me that this kind of thing is still going on. But if you were thinking about traveling to Dominican Republic,
please don't.
Please don't, for the love of God.
Yeah, and we're not even being funny at this point. Just please don't.
In all seriousness, do not, for your own safety, do not go to the Dominican Republic. Obviously, they had brought in, I think for the David Ortiz incident, I think they brought in and arrested like 4 or 5 suspects, and they were looking for more. Just kind of makes you wonder what kind of scope does this? How many people were involved in this?
Well, this is the big thing too. As I said, there was 5 people that were arrested in connection to this, that were having some type of involvement. A lot of the speculation is that David Ortiz had a mistress who happened to be a wife of a very prominent figure in the Dominican Republic. That was a prominent figure for very, very, very illegal reasons. A lot are saying drug lord. I just say illegal reasons. Now, on top of that, there was also a story that came out that said the mistress herself, after David Ortiz was shot, was at the hospital. His wife is with him at the hospital. That the mistress showed up at the hospital and got into a fist fight with his wife. Now, obviously, none of this is really confirmed at this point, but it just adds to this ever-evolving story that's going on right now. So we'll definitely kind of see as time goes on where this will go. This is becoming a ever crazier by the day kind of story. So I'm sure something will pop off here soon. So definitely make sure to follow our social media on the latest updates. But David Ortiz at this point is stable. He's still in Boston, and after having more surgery in Boston, has come out fine. Even flashed the good old David Ortiz smile and was in good spirits. So definitely,
that's good.
Definitely crazy. But I don't even know where to begin with this. What do you make out of all this?
It just goes to show you that no matter how things look on the surface, as far as how we think as Americans, we think that we have it really well. Even though we have a lot of issues of our own as far as gun violence and just terrorism and that kind of stuff in general. Mm-hmm. But other countries, this is commonplace.
Yeah, this is a regular everyday event.
This is commonplace when you're talking about drug lords getting involved. And I mean, South America is a great example of there's so many drug lords, kingpins that this kind of stuff happens on a regular basis. We just heard about it because of who it happened to.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing looking at this.
Had it not, I guarantee you we never would have heard about this.
No, we definitely would have. If this had been like some minor league player or at least a player that isn't as known, I don't think this barely makes news. I think this ends up just becoming a snippet. Nobody really goes into depth.
I think any American athlete that is of somewhat importance or easily recognizable kind of name, this is still going to be a story. But I think if this happens to regular people in this kind of situation all the time. Mm-hmm. Not in his exact situation, but you know what I mean. The hits go out on people and you piss off the wrong person and they're related or they're friends with the drug lord and they take a hit on somebody. That kind of stuff happens in other countries all the time, which is very unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate.
So I'm hoping this forces the hand of the Dominican Republic to get a hold of the people involved and give them justice.
Yes.
And bring that to them. And I'm hoping that it forces their hand by people not going there. That which of course would hurt their tourism and it hurts their dollars. That's where you start seeing change when you start hurting the pocketbooks. Mm-hmm. That is where you see changes.
That's where the big things are hitting.
I'm hoping that this does help change things there by people hopefully not going.
Hopefully.
And then we can see these people brought to justice as much as possible.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely bring you updates as they become available here on Final Score. Probably through our social media outlets. If we don't hear anything, you'll definitely hear something on our next episode, which will be episode 19 next Saturday. Make sure to check. That will be released next Sunday. So, on happier terms, though, you can also get the first ever Final Score Power Rankings that were released this past Wednesday on the Final Score Sports blog. All you have to do is go to podcastcity.net/Final Score-blog, and you can be able to find all that there. Definitely check it out. A lot of great stories on there. But, of course, the MLB Power Rankings, which we will release every Wednesday. So definitely make sure that you go ahead and give that page a bookmark so you can quickly get to them and get your updates as needed. And it's very exciting. A lot of crazy stuff that was put in there this week.
Yeah, so this, like I said, this is the first power rankings that we're putting out. And with these, we didn't want to just go, okay, here's our personal opinions of how things go. We did take a few things into account when ranking our teams. We took into account, of course, their overall record, current win-loss streaks, their last 10 games, run differential, take those things into account, as well as other status, other things, of course. You look at as far as injuries, signings, stuff like that. Those things are all taken into account. But as far as statistically, these are the things that we're going to be looking at.
And it's definitely good. We got a lot of great teams on here. A lot of teams that have been performing well. And, if you read anything from us, usually there's a little bit of kookiness going on with it anyways. But definitely always exciting. But looking at it, if you've been able to look at it, we're going to look at least a couple of the top teams, just touching on what we have here.
The top three are pretty set in stone.
Yeah, I mean, Astros, Dodgers, Twins. You can't mistake those. But looking further down as you go through, some are a little bit more up for debate. Like at number 4, you have the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 5, New York Yankees. Very evenly matched teams, both in the same division, both vying for the AL East. So definitely neck and neck. See what happens there. You got Brewers at 6, Cubs at 7. Phillies at 8, Braves at 9, and Rangers at 10. A lot of great teams here and a lot of great things going on. And these are nice power rankings, but the big determiner is always going to be your record. So let's take a look at the standings real quick and look at some of our top teams right now, which right now, obviously, we still have the Yankees and the Rays vying back and forth for the AL East lead. They're currently tied with Boston sitting 5 games back of both. It's definitely going to be a very tight race, just like we thought with the AL East. And, of course, the Blue Jays and Orioles are starting to fall back even more at 17 and 21 games back. So the AL East is starting to take shape like we thought it would. Looking at the AL Central, though, you got the Twins literally just commanding the whole division. There is no type of pressure on them at all with the second team in the AL Central, with the Indians being 10.5 games back. And then you got the White Sox 12 games back. Your Detroit Tigers at 20.5 games back. Kansas City Royals 24.5 games back. So I feel the Central is pretty locked, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's definitely locked in from that perspective. Is the Twins are playing so well. They have the league leading run differential.
Sitting at 117, I believe.
117 now it is. But I don't think anybody was surprised they were competing for the Central. I think everyone's surprised at how well they're doing already. Mm-hmm. I mean, already in June they were 10.5 games in the lead, which is currently where it stands now. They're just running away with this division, mm-hmm. and
they're actually tied for the second best win percentage right now, with the Houston Astros at a .676, both of which obviously are still trailing the LA Dodgers. So definitely the Twins have been making some noise.
Yeah, and that's why I have them as one of the top 3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost put them in any order because of the fact that just to get you an idea, over the past 30 games, Astros 23-7. This is, of course, as of the power rankings.
Right.
And then the Twins and Dodgers are 21-9 each. So it's really tight between those 3.
Definitely.
So it'll be really interesting once we get closer to playoff time if the Twins maybe trail off a little bit and maybe the Indians start making a run, or maybe they just have a stronger schedule over the back half of the season. We'll see how that shapes up.
Definitely will. But looking at the AL West now, Houston Astros have a nice little 9.5 game lead over the Texas Rangers. A lot of those teams are also starting to fall back a little bit. Haven't been playing the greatest baseball. When you got Oakland sitting 12.5, LA Angels at 13, and Seattle Mariners 19 games back. And it's so sad. Seattle Mariners started so well this season and now have fallen completely off and are now 30 and 43.
Yeah. Trading away today. Just breaking news the last few minutes. Edwin Encarnacion traded from the Mariners to the Yankees. So, of course, in next week's power rankings, there's probably going to be a little bit of shakeup there near the top.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. The Yankees might move up. Oh gosh, that was so dirty for me to say. That hurt.
I don't think there's a might involved with that.
Well,
they're going to stay they're probably going to stay in the top 5, assuming they were.
Well, I like to leave a little bit of doubt because it's the Yankees, and I have to do that.
What's really impressive to me for the Yankees is not only are they playing so well and tied for the East,
mm-hmm.
they're doing it without Giancarlo Stanton. Mm-hmm. They're doing it without Aaron Judge, and now they're getting Edwin Encarnacion, who is the AL leader in home runs.
And that's what's crazy to me.
That roster is going to look nasty. Because Giancarlo Stanton and Judge are doing rehab stints this week,
mm-hmm. and
they should hopefully, for the Yankees' sake, be returning in the next week or so. But this team is going to look so scary once they get everyone healthy.
Oh, it really will, and I can't believe I'm saying it about the Yankees. But yes, this team has a possibility to make a serious run, not only for the AL East, but honestly.
It's almost like it's almost like one of the two of us predicted that in our pre-show.
It makes me want to puke.
Our preseason show. Yeah, puke into that. Actually, there's a hat right next to it you can puke into.
No, that's too beautiful. What about that blue and yellow one?
That one right there.
The yellow can match my puke.
Anyway, on to the NL. Looking at the roster or the standings here in the East. Braves are leading at 41-29. Phillies are 2.5 games back. Mets 7.5. Nationals 9.5. And Marlins sitting at the bottom, 15 games back. One of the worst teams in the league at this point. The Braves are on an 8-game winning streak, 8-2 in their last 10.
Nasty.
On top of getting Dallas Keuchel last week. That's probably going to see a little bit of a shakeup, I think, in the next week here. But they are playing in a bit of a weaker. They're on a bit of a weaker schedule right now. They're playing against the Marlins, the Pirates, but they were playing. They're actually playing the Phillies this weekend, right tonight.
Yes,
they're involved in a game right now. That's going to be big as far as where they're going to lie in the NL East.
Which they are still winning that game, which Atlanta's just showing they just keep on winning, which is just crazy. But the Braves, are definitely trying to make that push, especially in a division that is a little bit weaker on the back end. So definitely going to try and make that push.
Very surprising because
it is.
We're talking about it in the preseason show for the MLB that Nationals still should be involved. The Mets, you don't know what you're going to get out of them. What are they going to do? Nationals really fell off this year. They've had some flashes, but they haven't been playing consistently. And then, of course, the Mets are hanging around where the Mets usually hang around.
Oh, the Mets being the Mets. But the thing I look at, though, is that with the top 4 of the 5 teams in this division, they're within 10 games. So with how long the season is, there's still plenty of baseball left. A lot still could happen.
Yeah, and we're almost to the halfway point.
Yeah, we're almost halfway, so there's still a lot more to go, but we'll see what happens. But looking at the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers are barely holding on to a half-game lead over the Chicago Cubs, who just got Craig Kimbrell, so that's definitely a huge addition for them. So Chicago's definitely going to be trying to make a push with adding that to their pitching rotation. But looking down the rest of this division, it's honestly pretty close. St. Louis Cardinals are still sitting there 3 games out. Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds both 8 games out. The Pittsburgh Pirates, have really been playing horrible baseball. 2 of 8 in the last 10. Cincinnati Reds not much better. 3-7 their last 10. But Pittsburgh Pirates have just been getting beat on. They've been allowing so many runs.
Their run differential is finally catching up to them.
Yes.
They've been winning games, and their run differential, as you just mentioned, is awful. It's the only negative run differential in the Central, and they're at a whopping -78.
Which is huge.
They're right up there as one of the worst teams as far as run differential is concerned, but they're still somehow winning some games.
Yes.
Not like you said, not in their last 10, but the Cardinals, man, you really don't know what you're going to get out of them because they played so well, played so well against the Cubs, and then within this last week, they've kind of fallen off. They've been losing to teams they shouldn't be losing to.
They're kind of hot cold.
Yeah, and now they're on a 2-game win streak, and they're still only 3 back from the Central.
Yeah, so crazy that you could play like that and still have a shot.
Absolutely.
But, hey, that's the NL Central for you. But looking at the NL West, we have our league-leading Los Angeles Dodgers sitting there at 47-23. Score differential plus 111, which is just crazy, but still have a 10-game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Colorado Rockies 10.5 back, Padres 13 back, Giants 16 back, and at this point, the Dodgers are kind of running away with this division already, and we haven't even hit the halfway point.
But hey, the Giants are on a 4-game win streak
with your -80 run differential, which they're
a disaster.
But not to put it out there, that -80 though can only be beat out by 3 teams. The -91 run differential of the Blue Jays.
Yep.
The -124 of your Detroit Tigers, but -149 by the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, and all of those teams that you just mentioned, bottom 3 or 4 teams in the power rankings this week.
Yes.
So, shocker.
Got something right.
Shocker. But, in the West, the 2 teams that I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to play over the next couple weeks, Diamondbacks and the Rockies.
Definitely.
The Diamondbacks, they do have some great pitching. Zach Greinke pitched another gem the other night. The Rockies are really, they're really just kind of back and forth. You don't know what you're going to get out of them.
Another hot cold team.
Yeah, another hot cold team. But the Diamondbacks, they have an interesting schedule coming up because they're just playing against the Nationals now. They have a 3-game stint after the weekend against Colorado. Then 3 games against the Giants, 3 games against the Dodgers, then Giants, Dodgers, and then Colorado to end out the first half of the year before the All-Star break. So, I mean, there's some chance for the Diamondbacks if they can win the games against the Rockies, definitely, and the games they're supposed to win, there's a chance they could make a push. And, I mean, both of these teams are playing the Dodgers 7 times over the next couple weeks before the All-Star break. So these two teams, if they can pick away at the Dodgers in a game or two, they can really close the gap and make it really interesting in the NL West.
That's a real tall order because the Dodgers have been playing great baseball.
They have.
So to try and get any kind of wins against the Dodgers is hard enough. So, I mean, we'll see, but I wouldn't be holding my breath on it. But looking at it all, though, it's definitely going to be an interesting season as we move forward. But one thing we have to hit on is our best of the week. What do you got for us?
My best of the week goes to Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Angels on Thursday night against the Tampa Bay Rays. He hit for the cycle, 4 for 4. He had a home run, 3 RBI, and 2 runs in that game. So congratulations to Shohei Ohtani hitting the cycle.
Yeah, I saw that. That was great stuff, and he was the first Japanese player, I believe, to do so as well.
That's very cool. I was listening to it on the radio on my drive home from Tampa.
Funny enough,
was not able to go to the game, but yeah, it's great. That's a great stat too, and the first Japanese player to hit for the cycle. So that is my best of the week. Who do you got?
So my best of the week doesn't go to a player, doesn't go to a team, doesn't go to a league. This is going to go to sports memorabilia because Babe Ruth New York Yankees road jersey from the 1928-1930 block of seasons sold for a record $5.64 million at auction today, which for you listeners will be yesterday, Saturday. And
on the 15th of June.
On the 15th of June. That might have been easier.
That'd probably be easier.
Probably would be easier. Don't mind me. We're already pretty deep into the show. But at the end of the day, though, this jersey was sold from a private collection, from the family's private collection. So this is something that actually hasn't been unearthed in some time and broke the previous record of $4.4 million, which was, funny enough, for a different Babe Ruth jersey that sold back in 2012. So definitely, and it hurts me because this was a Yankees jersey, not a Red Sox jersey. But at the end of the day, awesome for sports memorabilia, and whoever spent that whopping amount of money, you definitely have a piece of sports history.
Sports memorabilia is always such an intriguing area when it comes to how much things are worth and value and auctions and stuff like this. It's so amazing what kind of things come up at these auctions and how much they sell for.
Oh, it's insane. It's utterly insane because I've seen all kinds of things sell for all kinds of crazy prices, usually in the 100,000 upwards to almost $1 million. But to truly get these kinds of things, the person who actually rated this did say this was literally not only one of the most pristine pieces he had ever seen, but it was also literally, he said right there without even putting a tag on it, this is the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia in existence.
My question is the guy that bought it, what else do you got in your collection, and what do you do that gives you that kind of money to buy a jersey for $5.64 million?
What does that guy do for a living? Because that I couldn't even imagine spending that amount of money on anything.
That's just amazing. Well, I mean, if we had that kind of money, I know what I'd spend it on, but
yeah, but it wouldn't be a jersey. I'm sorry.
Oh, hell no.
Especially not a Babe Ruth Yankees jersey.
I'm sorry, I would not spend it on memorabilia. But
I mean,
actually, that's a lie. I would spend it on memorabilia.
I mean, I'd spend it on some memorabilia, but I'd be a lot more conscientious about it. You know, I'd only spend like a few thousand on a Joe Montana signed jersey.
You would blow all $5.6 million to get a new an Eagles Super Bowl ring.
If it's a legit ring, I will pay that money.
Exactly.
Do not play around with this. This is not a joke.
You would pay all $5.6 million to buy Eagles Super Bowl memorabilia that was actually used and or
Gosh, you know me so well. I can't even argue this.
I mean, you see, I'll be conscientious about how I spend my money.
Well, I have to say that on air for the wife, because when we get to this point in the show, I can cut it off real quick and see, babe, I'm responsible, because at the end of the day, I totally would spend all $5.64 million on probably Nick Foles jersey, at least a ring, maybe Zach Ertz cleat, something nice, and start making a nice little shrine/man cave out of it all.
Actually, would be pretty cool. I'd like to see that.
So I'm saying $5.64 million man cave, mainly of memorabilia.
So basically, it boils down to you need to win the lottery.
I do. Is there a way we can make that happen?
Can we
call Chris Carnage? Does he make those kinds of things happen?
Does he make those kinds of things?
No, I'm not calling him today. Sorry, fans. There is no call to Chris Carnage today. I can't chance that.
We can't afford that.
I don't need to go to Suplex City. But anyways, this has been our Major League Baseball best of the week, and we always find something exciting. But to talk about something about getting paid, we got to move on to NFL, because there's a couple players that have finally got paid here in the past week. Who we got?
Talking about tight end Kyle Rudolph signs an extension with the Minnesota Vikings finally. Gets a 4-year, $36 million deal that they just inked, I believe it was about a week ago.
Yeah, almost a week ago.
Early this week. So they finally got a deal done. It's really intriguing of how they're going to use this offense now, because you have Irv Smith Jr., who you just drafted, tight end out of Alabama. That was essentially going to be his replacement, because you didn't know if you were going to get this deal done. Now it's going to be really interesting for the Vikings offense this year. If you get Dalvin Cook back, you've still got Stephon Diggs, Thielen. Now you've got Rudolph back. You can run 2 tight end sets. You can even probably put Irv Smith or Rudolph out in the slot, or put him out wide, create some mismatches. It'll be really intriguing to see how Kirk Cousins can manage this offense with now bringing back Rudolph and adding another piece.
I can see a lot of Philadelphia Eagles style offense, inspiration in this, just because if you can run a 2 tight end set, that honestly, in my opinion, can make you automatically one of the more dangerous offenses in the league, because
absolutely
you always see teams trying to stretch the field as much as they can vertically. However, if you have guys that, not just 1 but 2, that can run underneath in any kind of form and be able to catch passes and an escape route, you are locked. You always will have a safety valve.
The other big thing here too is Irv Smith Jr. as far as his blocking ability.
Great blocking.
That's going to help out in the run game big time. So I would not be surprised to see the run game take a little bit of an uptick, especially if Dalvin Cook's healthy, and then you basically got a guy you can help seal the edge and let your running back get to the corner.
Yeah, because with Kyle Rudolph, I've been watching Kyle Rudolph since his Notre Dame days. He was a great blocker in college, but once he made it into the league, over the years it started to subside because he became more pass catching oriented. And
he is a much bigger threat in the pass game than he is in the run game.
Exactly, and that's the big thing you look at, is that now you kind of have this double-headed monster with tight ends. So this really gives Minnesota a lot of options.
This really could. You were talking about looking after it like how the Eagles do it with 2 tight ends.
Right.
But the Patriots.
Oh, perfect example.
When they had 3 tight ends. I mean, but you think about it, each of them does things a little bit differently, and they bring different things to the table. This could be a very dangerous Vikings offense if they can highlight the strengths of each of these players. And who knows, maybe Irv Smith Jr. turns out to be a great pass catcher at the next level. We already know what he was doing in Alabama, but I mean, maybe because of all this other attention from everyone else, Rudolph, Diggs, Cook, Thielen, maybe he ends up having a pretty solid rookie year.
And honestly, looking at all this, it kind of takes a little pressure off Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins even came out just recently this past week and said, I'm not a 500 quarterback. I don't want to be a 500 quarterback. I am better than being a 500 quarterback.
I actually think the opposite. I think this puts more pressure on him, because you gave him all that guaranteed money, and yes, he threw for statistically very good. He was a very good quarterback statistically last year.
Oh, definitely.
But what was their record? How far did they get in the playoffs? Oh, wait. And I think it's more pressure, because not only you could have made the excuse if Rudolph doesn't come back and they trade him or something like that. You could make the excuse, oh, he doesn't have the weapons he did. Like, it's his second year in the offense, so he should do better, but doesn't have Rudolph. That's a big loss. You got no excuses if you're Kirk Cousins. Absolutely no excuses.
That is true. That is very true. And
all you have to compete with in the NFC North is the Chicago Bears. And I'm personally not high on Mitch Trubisky.
I'm honestly not either. I feel like it's more the defense that put him in wonderful positions than it was Mitchell Trubisky making great plays.
I still think, even though Chicago, the way they played last year, I'm still going to put the Vikings as probably the NFC North, the top of the NFC North this year.
But we still also have to keep in mind the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Healthy Aaron Rodgers. That's all I got to say.
With a bunch of scrubs. I mean, basically, they got guys like you and I out there on the field.
Hey, now. I'm not a scrub. I'm a
portly man.
I'm a portly man, yes. Better than being a scrub. You don't get no love from me. No TLC references. Anyways,
tried to avoid that today.
Moving on. Well, just don't creep. Anyways, looking at it, though, Kyle Rudolph coming back is such a huge boon for them, though. Because, yes, it does put some more pressure on Kirk Cousins. But I look at it in the sense that with these weapons, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, Kirk Cousins just has to go out there and just do what he does, and he should be fine. But obviously,
don't turn the ball over.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to. Don't be a bonehead and just think that, I got Adam Thielen deep. Let me just throw it. And thinking he's just going to catch it every time. No, you're going to start throwing picks. Don't be dumb.
It's not like Washington where you actually didn't have receivers. You actually have good receivers and you actually have a good offense around you.
Yes, use them.
Don't screw it up.
And they even improved your offensive line a little. So, make use.
Yeah, make use of that.
Okay.
Moving on, defensive end of the New Orleans Saints, Cameron Jordan signs his extension, 3 years, $52.5 million. What else can you give us details about it?
Well, he has a max of $55.5 million. $42 million of it is guaranteed, which is huge numbers. That's most of the contract right there. But this is huge. Locking up this kind of player is huge for the Saints, especially if you're trying to erase last year and make another run for the Super Bowl. Cameron Jordan is going to be instrumental on that defense to making this happen.
Absolutely. They needed to bring him back. Absolutely. Especially when you missed out on an opportunity to get a guy like Gerald McCoy, which I don't even know if they were in the process of trying to court him or whatever. But Cameron Jordan, he's been a great anchor for that defense and also in the locker room. Great veteran leader. Absolutely. Great move by New Orleans to continue to shore up that defense.
Absolutely, and they need to make sure that they do, or otherwise they're just going to have issues going down the line. But at the end of the day, as long as they can make sure that they keep these key pieces on defense, the offense is going to do what they need to do. They always do. When you have any kind of a Drew Brees-led offense, it just works. It always has. But looking with Cameron Jordan, bringing him on, last season, he played really good. Played all 16 games. He ended up randomly actually having 6 pass deflections. Ended up having a forced fumble recovery, but he had a bunch of tackles, and that's the big thing. He's a tackle machine. Get that guy out there, lock him up, and they did.
Well, the pass deflection just goes to show how smart he is as far as if you can't get to the quarterback, active hands. Get your hands up.
Always have active hands.
Yeah, active hands. Try to deflect those at the line.
Well, the thing is, too, is that you look at it, he also had 12 sacks, and that's the big thing, is that he's able to get around offensive linemen, and if he's going to get to you and sack you, hands are up.
Yep.
And he's going to make sure that those passes ain't going nowhere. So good on the Saints for locking this guy up. But definitely looking at the rest of this, we do have to move on, sadly, to more sad news. Pat Bowlen, the longtime Broncos owner, has been there for 35 years. Sadly, has passed away at age 75. He died this past Thursday night at his Denver area home after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. And it's a very sad story because he was such a great beacon of light for that franchise, was always said to be a really happy, uplifting person, and always tried to encourage and inspire players and others around him. And what was even sadder is that he was just under 2 months. He was set to be inducted in just under 2 months formally to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, very sad news. It is very unfortunate because of what he meant, not only to that team, organization, but the community as well.
Yes.
I've heard that he had been compared to Jerry Jones in the sense that as far as what kind of impact he had on a team and how much he cared about, succeeding and doing well.
Absolutely.
Jerry Jones without all the need for attention. Without all the need for attention.
Yes.
But he did it in such a way that In his 35 years as owner, they did win 3 Super Bowls. And he, since 1984, I believe that's when he took over the team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
They had the most winning seasons in the NFL at 21, second most playoff appearances at 18, and very few losing seasons.
Only 7. They had only 7 losing seasons, which they had as many losing seasons as they did Super Bowl losses. Yep. So honestly, I think that's a very good testament to show that you can keep some type of great success with this franchise.
Absolutely.
Anybody interested, though, there will be a public tribute that's going to be held Tuesday at the Broncos Stadium at Mile High. And there'll also be a private funeral that's going to be held June 24th in Denver for him. But like we said, it's definitely a sad moment. And our hats off to you. You did great things in the NFL, and we wish you that you rest in peace. It's a very sad moment.
Yeah, I wish all their family the best in this.
Yes, our condolences go out to their family. It's very a hard situation. But moving on from that, we're also going to move on over to what should be a little bit more uplifting and bring a little bit of closure for some. The Tennessee Titans have decided for this upcoming season that they will be having a ceremony to retire Steve McNair's and Eddie George's numbers. With Steve McNair, we know he did die tragically from multiple gunshot wounds back in July of 2009. It was also a very sad moment. Steve McNair, though, wore number 9. He was the first-round pick in 1995, 3rd overall. Played 11 seasons for the then Houston Oilers, which then became the Tennessee Titans when they relocated to Nashville, and led the league in wins with 76 wins. A great player, passed for over 27,000 yards and 156 touchdowns, and really was a cornerstone of that franchise for a long time.
And even the way he played the position changed the NFL as far as how he, coming from a very small college, as was the thing for a while, where you see a lot of these Hall of Famers that were come from smaller colleges.
Yeah, Alcorn State.
Yep, down in actually staying in the Southeast there, and the way he played and what he meant to that team, taking them to Super Bowl appearance, coming up a half yard short, literally a half yard short. But well-deserved honor to put him. I'm surprised this hadn't been done a little bit sooner, but
yes, I agree.
It definitely is well-deserved that his number and name go up in the Hall of Fame for Tennessee.
Absolutely. And then looking on to Eddie George, we're number 27. Was first-round pick back in 1996, a year after Steve McNair with the 14th overall pick. Came out of the team you love so much, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Gross.
He played 9 years total, 8 with Houston/Tennessee, and then finished up his career with his 1 year in Dallas. But he rushed for 10,400 plus yards, 68 touchdowns. But he also was just a real beacon to show what a running back truly could do, and really was a great runner in his time.
Definitely. And he was, unfortunately, one of the first notables of the Madden curse.
He very much was.
But again, well-deserved for him to go into the Ring of Honor for Tennessee.
Yes, it was.
Great career.
Yeah, real great career. Definitely played hard throughout his career. Had also over 2,000 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. Was always a great player and always did everything he could. But the biggest thing about Eddie George I always loved is that he always tried to not only give back to the community, but was always just a consummate professional and an incredible person. So definitely a great honor to both of these men by the Tennessee Titans. But sadly, though, that ends our NFL talk.
Quick one this week.
Yeah, didn't have a whole lot going on. A lot of people are getting through OTAs, and now we're starting to get ready for mini camp and everything going on. So small lull period, but one thing that never lulls, and that's This Week in Sports History.
This Week in Sports History.
That's right, and this one's going to be a bigger one than we've ever done. We decided we're going to expand it. We need more history because we got to teach you jabronis about the history of sports. And
it's fun to look back and see a lot of the things that honestly we weren't even aware of. Some of these things that we've picked for this week in sports history.
Yes.
That I actually had never known until today.
Yeah, which the first one was also a huge surprise for me because on June 15th, 1902, which we're going back 117 years for, the minor league's most lopsided baseball game occurred. It was the Corsicana. I don't even know what team they were. It was Corsicana.
It was Corsicana versus Texarkana.
Texarkana. all these team names, so crazy. But Corsicana scored 51 runs to Texarkana's 3, and Justin Clark.
3.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
That sounds like an Alabama football score.
It does sound like an Alabama football score. But Justin Clark of Corsicana, Texas, he hit 8 home runs in this game. In one game.
This is insane. Like
one game. That's almost a home run an inning.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how many times through the lineup did they go in that game.
Oh my gosh! You want to talk about hitting for cycle?
How many times did they go through the lineup in that game?
But, man,
yeah, that was one of the crazy ones. But staying with baseball theme, June 10th, 1981, Pete Rose ties Stan Musial's national lead record of 3,630 hits.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
Not too bad.
Get a Pete Rose in there, when he's not being embarrassed being tombstoned by Kane or something in the WWF. Sorry.
You had to bring that up.
I was going to.
I know.
Come on, they had like 3 run-ins. It's just a thing now. Anyways, June 11th, 2012, though, we had our Stanley Cup final at the Staples Center in L.A., where we had the L.A. Kings defeat the New Jersey Devils 6-1 for a 4-2 series win and their first Stanley Cup title in the 45-year history of the LA Kings. Definitely was a huge moment. I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really love their Twitter account.
Oh, yes.
The Kings have one of the best Twitter accounts I've ever followed.
They really do.
It's hilarious. But this right here, 45-year history, it's a first title in 2012. You got to think of all the great teams they had. They had the Gretzky teams in the early 90s. Those teams didn't get it done. So, you had a lot of history there, and, great little tidbit there. Last one for this week in sports history, June 13th, 1925. Taking a long way back.
Oh, you remember this one, though?
What's that?
You remember this one, though? 1925? You were around then, right?
I'm not that much older than you.
Could have fooled me. Anyway,
Charles Jenkins demonstrates the transmission of synchronized pictures and sound. Now, this doesn't sound like, why is this sports related? Because this was the early formings of the television, what we now know as the television. So without that happening,
you don't get to watch sports.
We cannot watch sports in as much excess as we do.
Yeah, you'd be doing it back like how they used to, listening to it on the radio, listening to Seabiscuit while you're just hearing, all right, he turns down on round 2, round 3.
Hey, those are some of the most iconic calls in sports history.
Not saying they aren't, but they weren't on TV now, were they?
That's very true.
Exactly.
You got me there.
So at the end of the day, this is very big because this is literally what led to what is arguably one of the largest forms of entertainment, and that is motion picture. So definitely an exciting time. And that has been This Week in Sports History.
And quickly, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to hit up Give or Go. So, Chris, I'm going to toss the first one to you. The push for professional stadiums in Illinois and New York are trying to offer sports betting in their arenas. Give or Go.
I'm going to go on this, and only for the reason that I'm going to believe it when I see it. There have always been a push. The thing is, there's certain states that legally are allowed to and still haven't set anything up yet. I've even read stories where the Chicago Cubs are trying to get Wrigley already prepped and trying to add it into their stadium. The Washington Wizards are apparently already in the process of adding kiosks in their arena. Until it actually happens, I'm not going to care because it hasn't happened yet, technically. But the U.S. women's soccer team wins their opening game of the Women's World Cup 13-0 against Thailand. Give or go.
Oh, I absolutely have to give on this.
Yes, USA.
We have to talk about it. So, in this game, a World Cup record in both goals and margin of victory were set by the U.S. Alex Morgan tied the record with 5 goals herself. The big story why we've added this here, of course, it's been all over sports for the last couple of days, is the fact that they won 13-0. Did they run up the score? Yes and no, but there's been quotes by players on the team saying that by them letting up and not scoring goals, it essentially is a disrespect to Thailand's team, which I understand.
I can understand that.
But here's the big reason why they went up and scored 13 goals. When it comes to the World Cup, goal differential is huge. When it comes to seeding, once you get to the elimination rounds, the knockout rounds. So the fact that they went up 13-0, you're already a heavy favorite. We're talking about how they're favored to repeat as World Cup champions. You absolutely should be crushing teams like this. If you are favored against a Thailand team that no offense, especially in women's soccer and even in men's soccer, you see this a lot. You see this disparity big time between the top teams in the world and the bottom teams in the world that make the World Cup. So I have absolutely no problem with this. But they will play Chile on Sunday at noon, which would be today, tomorrow, whatever you want to look at. It's on Sunday the 16th. And then on Thursday, later on this week, they play Sweden, 3 p.m. Eastern in pool play.
Pool play. It's always exciting.
Group play, pool play, whatever you want.
All the same thing.
But, all right, next one. There is a quarterback battle brewing for the New York Giants. Chris, give or go.
Oh, I'm definitely going to give on this because anytime I could take a big old healthy dump on the New York Giants, I will. Because this is something I've already been saying for a long time. Eli Manning, if you are listening, which I know you're probably not, but if this somehow gets to you, I really hope you hear this. You are washed up. Please retire and make this easy for everyone. Because if you haven't noticed, the rest of the NFC East has gotten younger. Where are you? Oh, yeah, you're supposed to be retired and just go ahead and accept your place into the Football Hall of Fame. You'll get there because you're a Manning. And it's okay. I can live with that. But please stop playing. Because at the end of the day, there is a quarterback brewing that is literally brewing in New York. Daniel Jones is not a guy you draft that high up in the draft to not have him play, or at the very least have him ready to play this season. And the big thing that doesn't help is when you have Pat Shurmur leaving the door seemingly open all the way for this to be speculated on. And he said, quote, "I think we're going to play the very blessed player. I know we're dancing around the words here and there. Eli's getting ready to have a great year, and Daniel's getting ready to play. We'll see what happens with it. The players that give our team the best chance to play, that's period. We've seen Eli do that for a long time, so we'll see what happens as we go down the road," end quote. That is not a very good large vote of confidence for Eli Manning. It sounds like to me Pat Shurmur is just like, yeah, Eli's the guy. Is he ready yet? Come on, Eli, you got this. Keep Daniel Jones hot and ready. Come on, Eli, you know you can throw that ball better. You better get ready, Daniel. You're about to go in. And that's literally how this is looking, is that they're trying to prop up Eli like he is still something to try and give him some kind of confidence going into the season, and literally are just getting the backup ready. Keep in mind, there's also 4 quarterbacks in this quarterback room. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. And I find that a little alarming because obviously you must be thinking Eli's going to have an issue at some point, and that maybe you need a little bit to go in there and have someone at least ready to back up Daniel Jones. So you're having a battle for technically the number 3 spot, who's going to become the number 2, because Eli's going to end up going on the bench, and then Daniel Jones is going to come in by week 4. Calling it now.
Oh, wow.
Calling it now.
Early prediction.
Early prediction. Heard it here first. I will bet on that one 110%.
Woo, man.
Yeah, I am feeling it. So with that, Cleveland Cavaliers hire California Berkeley's women's head coach, Lindsay, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher this, Gottlieb.
Close enough. Gottlieb, yeah.
Gottlieb. Yeah, I was close.
You're like Gottlieb?
Gottlieb. Yes, Lindsay Gottlieb, who was the former head coach for California Berkeley. Give her a go.
Absolutely give on this one as well. This is more so just a quick round of applause, really, to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes.
Because they hired, now this is the first women's collegiate head coach to be recruited to an NBA coaching staff. Not the first woman to be on an NBA coaching staff, but she's the first women's collegiate head coach recruited to an NBA coaching staff. So congratulations to both Lindsay Gottlieb and to the Cavaliers for essentially breaking down barriers yet again.
Yes.
Just goes to show you as well that it doesn't matter what your gender is. When it comes to knowing the game of basketball, if you either know it or you don't.
Yes.
You are either a good coach or you're not. It just doesn't matter. To give you a little bit of backstory, little highlight of Gottlieb's career at Cal, she went 179 wins, 89 losses for roughly 67% winning percentage at Cal during her time there. Made the 2013 Final Four with a 32-4 record. Was the Pac-12 and National Women's Coach of the Year also in that year. So I think that goes to show you that's a great mind to bring onto the Cleveland Cavaliers staff, working under John Beilein now. I think it's gonna be a real big opportunity, not just for her, but it's a big opportunity for women in basketball everywhere. Obviously, we saw the Spurs do this a few years ago, but it just, again, round of applause to the Cavaliers for this hire.
Definitely.
And that rounds out the Give or Go segment. Looking at the week ahead, you want to kick this off? What are you looking forward to?
Oh, man, there's a lot going on, but the big thing I'm looking at is going to be the XFL Showcase events for this week. June 21st in Los Angeles. Let me get my words right. I'm getting excited.
Sure you wanted to kick that off?
It just hurt because, at the end of the day, I had to go through the whole quarterback battle in New York, and I think it just took a little bit out of me.
I guess so.
Oh, I get fired up talking about Eli because he needs to be out of the league. Anyways, but June 21st in Los Angeles.
Still take him over Flacco, though. Talked about this last week.
We did.
Still take him over Flacco, though.
Until they fail, and I have some other backup to put in. Yeah. Anyways, June 21st, Los Angeles at Veterans Memorial Stadium, 5000 East Lou Davis Street in Long Beach. Be there because you're going to have the XFL Showcase event for Los Angeles. Followed immediately the next day, June 22nd in Seattle at Memorial Stadium at 401 5th Avenue, North Seattle. Definitely check it out. These XFL showcases are showcasing great players that are former NFL, former AAF, former collegiate greats. So this is really a big deal, and it's really going to make up the rosters for these XFL teams going into the next 2020 season. So definitely make sure that you check this out. And there definitely will be more coming after these because there's only a few more after. Only two. Only two more. So definitely make sure that you check this out. What do you got?
Yep. I'm looking forward to the Madden 20 beta. Of course, we're talking about my theme today apparently is gaming.
Yes.
Which, of course, I'm a big sports gamer. But Madden 20 beta is this weekend. And looking forward to it. Hopefully it's an improvement on 19. But
well, here's the big question. Does Patrick Mahomes, who's the cover athlete for Madden 20, does he get bit by the Madden bug?
Absolutely. He has a drop-off year.
Oh.
So we were this is really quick because I know we're getting to the end of the show. But I was talking with someone the other day as far as who's the candidate for biggest letdown year this year. We came to the conclusion it's got to be Pat Holmes.
It does.
Because you can't have a 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown year and follow that up with something that's also earth-shattering.
I mean, but first-time evers are always meant to happen. I mean, Patrick Mahomes might show us all up. He might pass for more yards and more touchdowns.
I don't think so.
But realistically,
I think he does have a drop-off year.
Yes.
But I don't think it'll be that big of a drop-off.
No, I'm calling 4,700 yards, probably about 45 touchdowns, but you're still going to make playoffs.
I was going to say about 4,000 and like 39 passing touchdowns. But I think the curse shows up in the playoffs. They lose.
Mm-hmm. And they lose again, just like Tom Brady did to the Eagles. Sorry.
You're just looking for any opportunity to stick it.
I gotta stick it to the Pats every time I get every chance I get. But to round out this week ahead, you can also look forward to the NBA draft June 20th, this upcoming Thursday, 7 p.m. on ESPN or on the ESPN app if you have it available to you. So definitely make sure you check it out. Expect that Zion Williamson's going first.
Absolutely, he's going first. No question about it. I'm really curious to see where the Pelicans are going to go now with numbers 1 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility they could have. I mean, you got Ja Morant going second. Third is the Knicks. They're probably going to take, I would think, R.J. Barrett or Cam Reddish or something like that. I think that another Duke teammate goes to play with Zion.
Oh, I could see that all day. And what better way to give Zion Williamson some comfort while in New Orleans by having a teammate with him?
I think it'll be great. And, of course, with the draft, be sure to look out for the mock draft, which is going to come out Tuesday. That's the goal. We're going to have it out Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, it'll go out Thursday morning. But Tuesday is the goal right now.
Yeah, and we'll definitely see how it works out. So definitely make sure, though, that you stay tuned to all of our social media and different outlets on social media with Facebook and Twitter at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, drop us a line. We'll make sure to hit you back. And then also make sure that you check us out on all of our wonderful platforms, as you see here. Google Play Music, Podbean, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, iTunes, and, of course, Spotify. And, of course, our newest one, Podcoin. So make sure you go on to Podcoin, get paid to listen to our podcast, which you can then turn into gift cards or turn it over to charity. Always a good reason to do so. And definitely make sure you give us a subscription on there and follow us for the latest updates. But sadly, that has been our time. We are coming to the end of this episode 18. Had fun, bud?
Always have a lot of fun. Can't wait for 19.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for 19 because 19 is going to be big. So definitely make sure that you tune in next week. But until then, I'm Chris, and this is Craig, And this has been Final Score. You have yourselves a great night. Podcast City Network.